All right, let's talk about zoology for the UPSC exam. You know, it's a real double-edged sword, isn't it? It can be your golden ticket to a top rank, or it can be a massive gamble that just sinks your entire prep. So today, we're going to break down the exact strategy you need to crack that 300-plus score. And we're using some killer insights from topper Harshita Sharma and the experts over at Synopsys IAS.
So, here's the big question you've got to ask yourself. Is zoology going to be that high-scoring boon that gets you into the service? Or is it a high-risk blunder, a trap with a syllabus so huge you get lost in it? Look, the difference between an amazing score and a total disaster, it isn't luck. It's all about strategy.
And let's be real here, the stakes are incredibly high. I mean, listen to this. All India ranked 214, Harshita Sharma, said that starting your zoology prep after prelims is, and I'm quoting her here, a suicidal attempt. Wow. I mean, that really tells you everything you need to know about how demanding this subject is if you don't get the timing right.
But, and this is a big but, here's the other side of the coin. That same subject, the one that can be so risky, if you approach it the right way, it offers one of the biggest payoffs in the entire exam. The risk is definitely real, but man, the reward is huge. So, let's get into it. Let's unpack the blueprint you need to actually pull this off.
Okay, so before we dive into the how-to, let's talk about the why. I mean, why would anyone even take on a challenge this big? What is it about zoology that makes it such a powerful, high-scoring weapon, in the right hands?
Just look at this number. 324. That says it all, right? Harshita Sharma points this out. That was Pooja Yadav's score. And that number, right there, is hard proof that busts a huge myth. People wonder, do they even give marks in zoology? The answer is a resounding yes. A score like that isn't just a fantasy, it's a real, documented thing.
See, it really is that double-edged sword we talked about. On the plus side, you've got a scientific, structured subject. The evaluation is pretty objective, which means you don't have to worry as much about subjective marking. But on the flip side, you're looking at a truly massive syllabus. Not a lot of overlap with your GS papers, and yeah, it really helps to have that specific academic background.
And this is where zoology is just different from a lot of humanities optionals. Harshita Sharma explains it perfectly. You know how an answer in, say, history might be open to interpretation? Well, in zoology, it's not like that. It's black and white. If your facts are correct, if your diagram is right, you can get insane marks. We're talking 18 out of 20. It's a game of accuracy, plain and simple.
Okay, so the potential to score big is clearly there. But the question is, how do you build a foundation that's strong enough to actually get there? This next part is absolutely critical. Getting this right is the difference between setting yourself up for a top score and walking right into that suicidal attempt we talked about. All right, let's tackle the first big hurdle, the one that stops a lot of people. Do you need a zoology degree to even have a shot at this? Look, Harshita Sharma is pretty clear that if you have a background in it, things are going to be easier, especially with all the specific terminology. But what if you don't? Well, the good news from Synopsys IAS is that it's not a deal breaker, as long as you're smart about it. The trick is, don't just dive into the deep end. Start with the stuff that overlaps with your GS prep, ecology, environment, that kind of thing. Then, knock out the smaller, easier units. You build up your confidence, you build momentum, and then you go and tackle the absolute monster that is Paper 1, Unit 1.
And this timeline, this is probably the single most important piece of advice in this entire thing. Your optional prep is not an afterthought. It has to start right along with your main UPSC prep. The goal, and this is non-negotiable, is to finish the syllabus at least once before you even sit for prelims. That time after prelims, that's golden, but it's for revision and answer writing, that's it. If you're starting from scratch then, you're not just late, you're making what Harshita calls a major blunder.
Okay, so let's say you've made the call. You're going with zoology, and you've started at the right time. Fantastic. Now, how in the world do you navigate this beast of a syllabus? Well, you're going to need two things, a map and a compass. And here's how to think about it. The official syllabus, that's your map. It lays out the entire territory, everything you could possibly study. But the previous year questions, the PYQs, that's your compass. It doesn't show you everything, it points you directly to the most important spots on that map, the high-value targets that UPSC keeps coming back to again and again.
Now, Harshita Sharma's take is to really stick to the map, the syllabus. Her point is that zoology is just so broad, you could literally study it your whole life and not be done. So she's like, stick to the syllabus, only prepare what's explicitly asked for. It's about drawing clear boundaries so you don't get lost.
But then, check this out.
Synopsys IAS comes in with a really fascinating piece of data. They've analyzed the last 30-plus years of PYQs, and what they found is kind of mind-blowing. Those questions cover about 95% of the entire syllabus. Think about that for a second. This is a huge insight. It means the PYQs aren't just a compass pointing to a few key areas. They practically are the whole map themselves.
So what's the winning formula here? It's not about choosing one or the other. It's about using them together. You use the syllabus, the map, to understand your boundaries, and then you use the PYQs, your compass, to find and master the most important, most frequently asked topics within those boundaries. And hey, don't forget to look at the Indian Forest Service papers too. They're a goldmine.
All right, we've talked about what to study. Now let's shift gears and talk about how to study. And, more importantly, how to present your knowledge to actually get those top marks. Because, knowing this stuff is only half the battle.
50%. Just let that sink in. According to Harshita, that's how many marks you can get for a question from a single diagram. A single, well-drawn, correctly labeled diagram can bag you half the marks for a question, even if your written explanation is just okay. That's not just a tip, that is a total game changer. And that's why diagrams are just not optional. They're non-negotiable. They save you so much time in the exam, they explain complicated things like life cycles or anatomy way faster than words can. And they're absolutely essential for getting those really high scores. But here's the key piece of advice. Practice diagrams that you can draw fast and accurately under pressure. A beautiful, perfect drawing that takes you 10 minutes is useless in the exam hall.
Okay, so you've got the strategy, you've got the techniques. Now let's talk about your toolkit, the resources you actually need. Having too many books is just as bad as having none, so let's focus on the specific high-value stuff our experts recommend.
So here it is, a really lean, powerful toolkit. For your core topics, invertebrates and vertebrates, Harshita says go with the classic Kotpal book. For those smaller, trickier topics like instrumentation, she suggests finding topper Kajal Jala's notes. To organize your whole prep, that topic-wise PYQ PDF from Synopsys IAS is your best friend. And that pro tip again, make sure you're looking at the Indian Forest Service papers, not just the Civil Services ones. Total goldmine.
Whew! We've covered a ton of ground, haven't we? So let's pull all of this together into one final, super clear blueprint. This is the takeaway, the thing you can start using right away.
Here's your 5-step blueprint to scoring over 300. Step 1, build that strong foundation, whether you have a background in zoology or you're starting smart. Step 2, master the syllabus using that powerful combo of CSE and IFOS PYQs. Step 3, make diagrams your superpower. They are everything. Step 4, create your own crisp, to-the-point notes. And Step 5, the most important one, revise, and then revise again. This subject absolutely demands it.
So we've come full circle. We started by saying that starting late is a suicidal attempt. But starting smart, with the blueprint we just laid out, that transforms zoology from this high-risk gamble into a legitimate, top-ranking weapon. You've got the strategy now. The only question left is, are you ready to go out and execute it?